All right, welcome back to another episode of Size Eyes, the life of a long-term multitasker. So this podcast, this vision, kind of revisiting one of my previous episodes. I haven't actually re-listened to any of my episodes other than this one that I just re-listened to, kind of fast forwarding and skipping around just to see so I don't repeat any information. It's the one on routines. It was episode 3. Sorry, on habits, episode 3. So this one, I want to take a look at routines. So related, tangential, but want to go a little bit deeper in terms of my morning routine and what I do and how I've updated my routine since that last podcast aired. Kind of spurred by this right now because I signed up for a Robin Sharma, the 5 a.m. Club Method course. So I'd actually just finished that. It was for $25, so definitely worth it for, a few hours of courses from a world-class, creator, writer, speaker, motivator, etc. So definitely worth, less than a bag of to-you laundry. Or, the exact price of a small bag of to-you laundry, to be exact. I finished that. So he talks about his a lot of different things. So it's cool hearing his perspective because he brings kind of a monk background, so that spiritual side. He brings a scientific, I think, background. He has a degree in biology, so he mentions a lot of research and studies from different places that he constantly is reading up on. And then obviously he coaches and mentors all these world-class athletes, these business people, these creators, these writers, etc. And so he has that experience in various walks of life that he draws from, that eventually I want to get to a similar point of, and being able to communicate those thoughts clearly. He has so many quotable lines that he's not coming up with them on the spot. He's spent years and years thinking about those exact words he uses and those phrases to have the most impact. So I'm sure he's done something like what's the speaking? I'm blanking. What's the speaking? Well, I'll have to find out, but it's the it's not coming to me. Oh well. It's where you basically perfect your communication skills. Maybe it'll randomly pop up to me at minute 7 of this podcast or something. We'll see. But anyways, he talks about his a lot of scientific background as well as his actual 20-20-20 formula. And so that's kind of what inspired me to record this real quick right after seeing many of the videos in the last couple of days after signing up a couple of days ago. And so, he talks about moving for the first 20 minutes and then, what is it? Is it reflecting? Yeah, reflecting for the next 20 minutes, and then growing for the next 20 minutes from that victory hour, he calls it, from 5 to 6. And so that, spurred the thought of what's my routine? Do I need to keep updating it? I mean, yes. How do I keep updating it? How do I fit in what I'm learning from him into my routine? Because my routine's a little bit longer than that victory hour. It's like victory 3 hours or, a draw I wouldn't say, who knows if it's a victory, but it's a draw. Slightly, it's a close win. Close win, 3 hours, or however long it is. But I wanted to go into detail about a little bit about my routine and how I've kind of added things along the way. So my ideal routine, and one that I've probably do 70-80% of the time, especially recently. But yeah, so this is my most current one. So the ideal morning routine, kind of starts with the night routine. And so let's say I want to get 6 hours of sleep. Sometimes I get less, sometimes I get more, but let's say I want to sleep at 11. I'll try to finish up whatever stuff that I'm working on, project-wise, like an hour to 30 minutes to an hour beforehand. So I'll try to finish up stuff 10 to 10:30, get to a good stopping point, 10 to 10:30. Then I'll brush my teeth, and then I'll obviously no devices. Well, so I'll obviously switch off the laptop and stuff. I'll bring my phone to me with me to bed, but I'll use it only for notes if I need to. So once I get into bed, I bought the lap desk, so definitely recommend that, and I mentioned that before. So I have the lap desk, so I bring my journals with me to bed, and I put them on my nightstand, as well as I have a book always on my nightstand, as well as my clock, which is a which is like one of those sunlight clocks. So it's not like a beep 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 clock. It's it emanates light depending on what setting you want. So it has different noises as well, like birds chirping, water, waves flowing, stuff like that. So stuff like nature to get you in the mood when you wake up, so it's more natural instead of an abrupt, flagrant noise. And so I bring both my journals. I have the book next to me. I'll usually journal. I'll usually do my list journal. So I have two journals. One is a list journal, and the other is a free-form journal. The list journal I have 2 pages. I open it up. It has 2 pages for every day. So, the left side and the right side. So one complete, I'm looking at my day when I open up to a page, or, the 2 pages that are open. So the left side is more list based, and the right side, I orient it horizontally and do my list there. So in my list journal, I have so the first thing that I actually, so during the night, I will skip 3 lines, and I'll write Vaksiddhi as the title. And it's basically, this is what I picked up from one of the Samriddhi workshop of trying to manifest, is these are 3 things that will help me. These are 3 things that I will definitely do tomorrow. So it inculcates that habit of whatever I say, it will happen. So these are 3 things that are non-negotiable throughout the day. So like that are going to happen. Like sometimes I've had it where I haven't done it, so it doesn't help the cause there, but 98% of the time it does end up happening. So these aren't necessarily tasks, but for example, one is I will drink celery juice today, which I pretty much always do. One is I will eat meal prepped food. One is I will have this meeting at work today. I will have Tuesdays at 2. Since that's always on the calendar, that's never moving. So like I know that's happening without a doubt. No one's rescheduling that one, right? Stuff like that is going to happen. And so when you review it the next night, you know that it's, that, oh, I said that I would do this tomorrow, and I actually did it. So it builds that confidence, builds that internal neural connection, that subconscious connection in your brain, that pathway. So I write Voxidie, then I write 3 checkboxes, and then I write those 3 things. And I leave those checkboxes unchecked, of course, until the next night where I would, check it, hopefully. And then below those 3 lines, I write, so I will, 3 best things. And so, that 3 best things would have already been written. And I write, if I hadn't already been filling it out throughout the day, then I write the 3 best things that happened to me throughout that day. Then, after those 3, I write 3 worst things. So then I write, same thing, if I hadn't been filling out throughout the day, I write the 3 worst things that happened to me throughout the day, or that I did, or something like that. Something I can take action on, make improvements on. So below the 3 worst things, I write gratitude. So then I have 3 lines of gratitude every day. So sometimes I'll fill it in throughout the days, sometimes I won't, but obviously by night I will hopefully have filled it out. So I write 3 lines of gratitude. I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. And something I've kind of been starting now recently is to being grateful for things that aren't negative, aren't necessarily positive. So the other day I ate some food that had some chicken in it accidentally. And I think they gave me the wrong order. I didn't realize until a few bites in. So that night, when I wrote in my list journal for my gratitude, I wrote, I'm grateful for having received the wrong order. Or I'm grateful for having eaten chicken. Like, that sounds counterintuitive, but if I can be grateful for things that I don't necessarily plan on or aren't necessarily positive in that moment, I played it cool. It was like, whatever. Like, the glass half full approach is that I didn't, that I ended up eating less, which was a good thing that night. Right. And so I'm grateful for that. So I'm starting to write more things like that are independent of my judgment and bias in the moment. So then underneath those 3 gratitudes, I write improvements. Normally it's not necessarily 3. I'll try to get at least 1. Sometimes it'll have 2. Like one day it had like 5. So it just kind of depends. And then the 3 best things, 3 worst things, gratitude, I'll write at least 3. Sometimes I'll just be in ideation mode and be cranking out 5, 6, 7. So, but at least 3 for each of those. So that's the left side of my list journal page. On the right side, honestly, I might separate this out into a separate podcast because it's already 13 minutes. The right side of my list journal has something called a 6-time book, which is a concept from the Diamond Cutter. And it has, so basically, you write 3 problems and you write 3 solutions on the left hand side. You're basically making a grid. So you're basically making a, let's say, 4 by, if it's a 6-time book, 4 by 7 grid with the 3, the top left square is empty. So like the 3 rows of the first column are filled with the problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution of whatever you write in. And then each column after that is a check-in, like at the time of the day. So instead of doing 6 times, because that's a lot, right now I'm starting at 3. I've been doing 3. Actually, today's the first day I'm doing 4, so let's see how that goes. But so, for example, I've kind of been rotating, going back and forth between, not back and forth, but rotating through on a cyclical basis my different problems that I want to solve. But now it kind of settled. They've kind of been lumped together, grouped together. So the first problem that I'll write is time and energy investment. I think that's the most crucial thing. Like, how am I spending my time? How am I allocating my energy? And so the solution will be the one that I cycle through. So let me actually pull it up real quick. So right now, for time and energy, I'm doing a balance of thinking, learning, doing, and relating. Kind of what I wrote about of my TLDR of life framework. So I'm trying to balance all those different aspects of my life throughout the day. And for each little box, so for thinking, learning, doing, relating, TLDR as a solution, for check 1, let's say by 9 a.m., something before 9 a.m., from waking up to 9 a.m., something positive and something negative that happened in relation to that problem and solution. So something positive and negative. And then I'll repeat that for each check-in throughout the day. So if it was 3 check-ins, was doing one at like between 10 and 11 a.m., then one at like 5 to 6 p.m., and then one when I was sleeping. So kind of segmented it out throughout the day equally. Other solutions that I've used in the past are morning and night screen time. So we're making sure that I'm not, checking my phone right after I wake up or right before I sleep. Content consumption from different sources. So making sure that I'm relearning from different voices and different personalities. Getting a diversity of thought and opinion. Having productive breaks so that I'm not wasting my time aimlessly, that I'm learning during breaks. So stuff like that, where I'm allocating my time and energy. Then the second row will be something to do with empathy, since that's a major point of improvement for me. So right now the solution that I'm focusing on this week is a bird's eye view of a conversation or an event. So again, for that, I'll have something positive and negative, hopefully. Sometimes I just write NA, not applicable, because, I may not have interacted with anyone, so it's tough to have that bird's eye view of something. But, I tried to fill something in. Stuff in the past that I've had with empathy is having a solution is humility. When have I acted humbly or with humility in a situation? Thinking about my beliefs, biases, and assumptions of why did I act this way in a certain situation? How do my thoughts, words, and deeds affect and impact others? So stuff like that of my problem, let's say, with growing empathy, an opportunity to improve my empathy. And then finally, the third row will be effective communication. So this entails listening, this entails speaking, this entails body language. So the problem of effective communication, I'll write something positive and negative throughout the day for each of those check-ins. Some of the past ones have been pausing before I talk so that I can collect my thoughts and speak clearly, express my thoughts cohesively. One is body language and gestures. Being aware of how I'm presenting myself. If there's any small reactions that I may have unconsciously that I'm making, that other people may be picking up on in meetings, etc. The flow of my speech. How smooth is it when I talk? What's my cadence? Active and attentive listening and not interrupting people. all these things that I try to focus on every week, and I keep track of in my list journal, something positive and something negative. So let's say in my one-on-one with my manager, maybe I do like to pause before I talk, so I'll maybe write something in on the positive. I paused before I talked when we were talking about this idea that I had, or something negative. I kept interrupting this one person in a meeting when they were trying to share their idea, so I need to do a better job of noticing that and being aware of when I do that. And so this is what I've kind of rolled up my different solutions into, of time and energy investment, empathy, and effective communication. And I roll through these, I cycle through the solutions on a weekly basis. And so the week I've experienced is a good time frame to have enough time to do it, but also, it's long enough, but it's also short enough where I can have different solutions. And at the end of the quarter, I can have gone through each of these once at least, and maybe a couple times. And then I can see how I've improved and then move on to doing it again, or adding more solutions that I've learned about from consuming different content, etc. And so this is, I thought I was going to do a whole podcast on routine, but it looks like I did a whole podcast on just my nightly routine, or my even like list journal. So I'm glad. One of the things that Robin Sharma talked about is superficiality versus granularity. That I need, that people have a superficial context, superficial idea, understanding of different things. But can we have a granular concept and understanding of these ideas? And so I'm glad that I did spend 20 minutes just on my list journal, so that I can express it clearly, so that you know exactly what I'm doing, what exactly I'm writing, how I'm formatting it, and how I'm approaching each of these different routine items. So I don't know if I'll go this in depth with each of the items, but since this was a little bit more longer, more of an in-depth look at a bigger aspect of the routine, I think it warranted this time. But anyways, so this is part 1 of nightly routine. And then I'll continue on to the next one in my next podcast. So thank you for listening to another episode of Size Eyes, the life of a long-term multitasker.